Hello there. On the 15th of August this year, Volition Inc.'s new game will be released, which of course is Agents of Mayhem. Is this Saints Row 5? Well, let's start with some context to this Saints Row series. Now, I'm a big fan of Volition's game series Saints Row. In fact, I love it. The first one I got was Saints Row 3, or Saints Row the Third, as it's officially titled, in 2011, which is obviously the year it was released. Since I was like 12 then, and I was considered too young to get any other ones before that, obviously. So that's why it was the first one I got. And no, I don't give a shit if you played GTA when you were 6, so don't comment that. Back on topic though, I remember receiving it and playing it non-stop for like 2 years straight. That is almost like all I played from 2011 to 2013, with a bit of Just Cause 2 mixed in there as well, obviously, With the game, I also got Saints Row 2 for free, which I played quite a bit, but nowhere near as much as the third. From what I remember, like with my friends and stuff, and at school, the hype for this game was insane, and the game was friggin' awesome. It was similar to the older games, including the same kind of themes, and obviously our favourite gang members, besides Carlos, RIP. The Saints were being recognised and moving up in the world with their own brand of clothing, drinks, and other merchandise. And it was more wacky and silly than the older games, but kept its exciting storylines and gameplay as well as good character development. You really had like an emotional depth to the characters and the whole story really, and the enemies as well. Not just the Saints, but the bad guys as well. There was a good like character connection. I guess the reason it was more silly and less serious in general, but not forgetting how Shondi nearly died at the end. That was pretty serious stuff. But it was because they were moving up in the world and they were basically celebrities. They had saved their homes, their home city, Stillwater, from gang warfare, and that obviously was the first two games that happened in both of them. Now they were expanding, as a business and as a brand, and not because it was necessary, but because they could. They were kind of cool criminals. One of the best things about this game, I thought, was the merchandise that came with it. It was probably the best I've seen from a game, I would say. There was none of those, crappy figure things, action figure or statue figure things. I don't know what you call them. I mean, no offense to anyone who collects that stuff. But with this game, there was real useful stuff, like, Saints Row, Third Street Saints, clothing, hats, and then there was the Heyday Super Shift footwear, which are like leather high tops made out of like snake skin, and they were in Saints Row styles, which was pretty cool. So there was like purple and white, which the Saints actually wore in the game, so you could get these in real life, and they were exactly the same as well, like the design and everything. There's also a purple and black version, a white and blue version, which was obviously the gang called the Deckers in Saints Row the Third, and then there was some red and black ones, I believe, which was the Morning Star version. I mean, I freaking wanted them so bad, but they only shipped to the US, which sucked, because obviously I'm here in the UK. I mean, at the time I was actually going to the US, so I was going to try and get some, but it was going to leave me like the postage at like, I don't know, there was kind of 2 days where I would have been able to take the delivery, but you know, they might not have come, so I would have been screwed really. Yeah, so as well as the Heyday Super Shift, they also had their own Astro Gaming A40 headsets, which is like a gaming headphone headset thing, and they were really cool as well. And you could get them in the Saints purple and black as well. They were like purple and black, and there was also a Decker's version, which was blue and black. And these two headsets both featured in the game as well. Like you could wear them. I'm not sure, but I feel like there may have been some Saints Flow drinks. You know, the energy drink that they designed and branded. Yes, I feel like there was some of them made as well, but I could be wrong. But anyway, the merchandise was great. It was expensive stuff, but very limited edition. Not the kind of merchandise you would find in GameStop anytime soon. Okay, and then we get on to Saints Row 4. Well, I mean, what can you say, really? Seeing that aliens were in the game was always worrying to me, and then also being the president was borderline worrying, but at the same time, frigging awesome. Being the president was cool because suddenly you have real power. You know, before we had, and somehow they had made it, the Saints. And the best part was that you still had all your gang around you, like in the White House living with you. And then also the return of Benjamin King, for fuck's sake. I can't remember the story with him exactly. It's been a long time since I've played. But it was an awesome and unexpected return, nonetheless. So the worrying part of being the president was that perhaps it was a step too far. Yeah, building their own brand and becoming celebrities from a life of crime and gang warfare is reasonable. I mean, look at most, well, I was going to say rappers, but it's probably actually a huge number of celebrities. You know, you read about loads of them, like, who have been arrested before they were famous and stuff, or been to prison or something else. And wasn't Gat on death row in Saints Row 2? And the rest should be too as well, let's be honest. I know you'll be saying, oh, shut the fuck up, it's just a video game. Well, yeah, I freaking know. The point is, the series went from a believable, reasonable story that had quite a serious plot and was fun because of it, and it added, you know, emotional depth. You had kind of attachment to the characters and the places as well, really. And it just kind of went to something so ridiculous. Start having sex with all your gang members and a robot droid thing. I can't even remember what it was, probe. And that is without even mentioning the goddamn aliens, for God's sake. For me, and I think many, many others, the aliens just turned the series into shit. I admit, I did enjoy playing the game for a bit, like playing the story. I played the story, and I especially liked replaying the old scenes, you know, from Saints Row 1 and 2, and, you know, meeting old bosses again, and also like there's like weird parts where you're like playing in the 1930s and stuff, and then also driving the mech suits, because who doesn't like driving a mech suit? But overall, I see the game as a mere large DLC, really, for Saints Row 3, which it was originally planned to be. It should have been like, you know, the part of Saints Row 3 on Mars, when you have to kill Bane, and that just ends up being a movie, and you're on a movie set. You don't like realize that until the end. And that's how I think 4 should have been. Or, at the end of 4, they use the ship when they kill the Emperor. What's his name? I can't even remember his name. Emperor. It begins with a Z. Well, anyway, They should have used his ship to go back in time to before they were in the White House and before the Earth was destroyed, obviously. Then we could have got less weird and ridiculous and awesome gang games like the first, second, and third. I think they went with protagonist or player, as Julius calls him in Saints Row 1, becoming the new emperor. So that's what actually happened, and staying on the ship, which leads to Gat out of hell, which obviously they're having the new emperor slash president slash boss slash player. It's his birthday, and obviously he gets taken by Satan. Now, I'm pretty sure this game was a standalone game and not directly part of the Saints Row timeline, which would make it seem like a DLC, which it should have been. We were told this is not Saints Row 5, it was the 5th Saints Row game, but not Saints Row 5. So in this game, you play as Johnny Gat with angel wings, rescue, and well, basically you have to rescue the boss slash emperor slash president slash player from hell because he's been taken by Satan. You meet some interesting characters like Shakespeare and Satan's daughter, though I can't remember her name, and I don't even remember how it ends because it felt so irrelevant. I didn't finish playing. I just watched the end on YouTube. Yes, that's what it's good for. But basically, we have an even smaller DLC size game after Saints Row 4 that is even more crazy and completely changing the genre and themes of this game franchise, really. So, you know, what was once a game about stopping the gang wars in your city and bringing peace, which is what the Saints was about, it's now turned into a game where you save another character from Satan in hell. I mean, how the shit does that happen? The ending, God will remake the earth, but he will do so at the cost of the saints. Everyone you once knew will be gone, and they have lived totally different lives in this universe. So this is the only one that leads us onto Agents of Mayhem, which happens in a sort of alternative timeline, so they say. And once again, this is a Saints Row spin-off, apparently. I mean, perhaps they're creating alternative endings so they can create alternative timelines and games and go back in time in their ship before the Earth was destroyed already, god damn it. So, anyway, in Agents of Mayhem, the Earth has been restored, but things are slightly different. As I said before, there is no Saints, first of all, but there is Pierce, you know, one of the main guys in the Saints. So he joins Mayhem after fighting Legion, who are the new bad dudes. So he fights them out of Stillwater, which you'll remember is a city from Saints Row 1 and 2. So Pierce's name when he joins Mayhem is Kingpin, and Mayhem is funded by Ultor Corporation, who you remember is kind of an enemy of the Saints in the second game and perhaps the first one, I can't really remember. And Mayhem's founded by some dude called Persephone Brimstone, who was a character who first appeared in Gat Out of Hell, apparently. So, and also, if you pre-order the game, you can also play as Johnny Gat. I'm pretty sure Oleg is in the game as well, but he is not the same at all. He looks completely weird. I'll show a picture here. And I think Morning Star in this game is the name of Legion's leader. So obviously before it was like you remember Morningstar from Saints Row. Also enemies of the Saints, really. Also, the game takes place in South Korea. I can't remember what the name of the place is, and I can't pronounce it anyway, whatever it is. Which seems to be pretty random, really, as previous cities in Saints Row haven't been given a nationality. They've just kind of been little islands with a city on. So, Saints Row 5, to the point. I guess. Right, so Get Out of Hell had 5 endings. The one that we just talked about, which is the one that runs up to Agents of Mayhem. And then there's one that is Johnny Goes to Heaven. So this is the first option. And has you going to heaven so you can reunite with Aisha, who obviously is Johnny's dead girlfriend who got beheaded in Saints Row 2. Johnny becomes King of Hell. This option will see you take over Hell as the new ruler, working alongside Dane to reshape the land Satan once ruled. Yeah, I don't really see that becoming a game, but I mean, who knows? It could be a Johnny Gat game, another one. Find a new home for the Saints, and this is the most probable one. And I'll just read out the last one before I talk about the Find a New Home one. Have all questions answered. So, in this one, God will give you the answers to any questions you might have, like the meaning of life, or how to cook an omelette. And that's pretty much it. So then we go back to Find a New Home for the Saints. In this one, this ending teleports Johnny back to his friends with divine knowledge of a planet they can go live on. Except it's inhabited by vicious aliens. But obviously for the Third Street Saints to continue in the universe, the game will most likely occur after this one, Find a New Home for the Saints option, as that is the only one that involves the Saints. But as it said, the planet is inhabited by vicious aliens. And of course, that sounds right up the Saints street, to be honest. And I guess this means the Saints will not be the same again, unless there ever happens to be a reboot, though there are no plans for one. It'll be weird, really. I mean, the Saints no longer being on Earth, fighting gangs in cities like the good old days. But I do believe that there will be another Saints Row, a Saints Row 5, which will be based after this ending. I think it's the only one that will work, so I think that is the most likely thing to occur. But I don't know when that will happen. I remember in Saints Row 4, somebody found when you're in the weird Matrix thing, and then there's a bit where there's like a load of kind of like code on the screen, and hidden in it said something like Saints Row 5 2015. Obviously, Get Out of Hell came out in 2015, but that was not Saints Row 5. So who knows when we're going to get Saints Row 5, if it will ever come. I mean, yeah, as I said before, I believe it will, and it will be based off of this ending. We will not be on Earth. We will be on an alien planet, fighting aliens. If anyone wants to further discuss this, please leave a comment, because I find the whole thing interesting, really. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching.